Mr. Rogers is naval. Enry the matter of the collective and the individual. Everybody's intelligence put together in a lump is the collective's, and it's still not equal to that of any real individuals. Though they will carry different names, both ends of a closed system are yet similar. A brief drama based on a short story. One man called his reflection, "You pickle-headed dwarf," in hopes of encouraging him to do better. Do you mean him or his reflection? Who said that? Okay, everyone not in Act 3 can take a break. Is this theater union or not? Who said that? Some good estate planning advice. Out of all the 6 billion new ideas life is continually having, every one of them is going to get believed by somebody. Tonight's business news. Since greed and profit have no soul, a mystic is valuable primarily to himself. Tonight's business news. Since greed and profit have no soul, the mystically inclined can turn out to be of no particular value to anyone but themselves. Tonight's business news should not come as a shock to anyone, it being common knowledge what little price Philistines place on creativity. One man asked himself, why should I be interested in matters of intellectual captivity? What does slavery of the spirit have to do with me? Why should I care about individuality? What the hell does any of this have to do with me? Moo. Bah. The more conscious you are of the mind, the less absolute control it has over consciousness. Unfair, cried somebody. Obviously somebody we don't know. Sojourn advisory. In life's journey you can go from want to want, from ill to ill, from anger to anger. But if your travels are limited to this, you'll end up where you started. To check on man's dumb pressure, in the late 1300s, local conditions pointed up and said to him, the bird in the sky is a bad sign from on high, to see if he'd believe it. In our solar system was once only 4 planets. Then man made up the rest, and he's working on still more. Announcements. The grievance committee for those alive will meet tonight at 9 o'clock. It's called death. The grievance committee for those dead will meet tomorrow night at 10. It's called life. The more mentally alert have abolished their committee and won't be ever getting back together again. One man asked himself, if you take the hostility out of thinking, where's the fun? What's the point? As they stood on a high hill looking out over all of civilization, local conditions put his arm around its son and patting him on the shoulder said, just think, my boy, other than getting food, finding shelter, and procreating, everything else on this entire planet, man just dreamed up. And just think, my boy, someday it'll all be yours. Zoological myths exploded. All animals are just other forms of humans. Who said that? Man used to perceive the preeminence in the gods. Men used to perceive our preeminence in the gods. Many now see it in technology. But both suffer limited understanding in that all that is possibly superior to man is himself in the future. How to determine where you live at. All right, how to determine where you live. Here's how. Which one makes the headlines on a day when the mayor dies, the museum burns, and the city's team loses its quarterback? One more announcement. The Whiners Anonymous meeting has been canceled for 2 reasons. One is nobody showed up, and 2, those who did insisted on being identified. One man asked himself, which forms of popular entertainment do you find superior to others? And replied, have you lost your mind? No. It's not an entertainers convention, is it? No need to say this is not a touchy entertainers convention, is it? When you live in a herd, pretending to know what you're doing can oftentimes pass for actually knowing. Oh, hell, let's be honest with one another. They're the same thing. Nobody likes a smartass but a smartass's mother. And she only does because her genes makes her. The preceding message was brought to you courtesy of the So What Else Is New Council. City tip, if you're coming to town and you have no talent, spit on those who do. Oh, yoo-hoo and moo-moo. One function of city establishment artists is to turn cliches into words of wisdom. A tip to those with barges to watch and locks to keep. If it's a higher calling to think of things supernatural, then reflect on mud and guts, at least some of the time. There are two kinds of mind. No, there are actually as many kinds of minds as men can imagine there are. One man said he wanted to go home because the weather around here was too cheap. Verse 2. Some people with no children adopt a mystic. A mystic is everybody's next generation. Surveying his meager cache of ordinary household items, one man mused. And even at that, most of what I have was given to me, then added, including my thoughts. It is the most civilized who most condemn visible slavery, since it is they who have begun to suspect a new, unseen form. Hey, viewer writes, hey man, don't keep telling me what man could be like. I don't be watching TV to get the blues. Conversation for two hands in the key of double D flat. See? You know, language is a funny thing. So why aren't you laughing when you say that? Hey, it's not that funny. Coda mama. One man's view, trying to be more conscious is like coffee drinking. You feel more alert while doing it, but get a headache if you quit. How evolution works when you're not watching. If worms had better eyesight, they could fly like hippos. The only lessons of progress of interest to the alert they understand as reflective of their own neural processes. If it could be, you can think it. If you can think it, it could be. A killing floor distinction between those who know and those who don't is that only one of them actually knows what is possible. Combination arts, athletics, and education news. Anyone who would take sports seriously is dumb enough to also take philosophy and science seriously. Give me a break. If you get the natural hormonal aggression out of thinking, you'll have some truly unnatural thoughts. Who said that? P, the big S. Regardless of what you've heard before, hormones can talk. It's just that neurons are too stupid to realize it. No, they're not too stupid. They're too far above it to even pay attention to it. Who said that? The collective's concerns are only of concern to the collective. That's why life made the collective. The difference between a city soldier and a real neural knight is that the former believe that they're self-made when it's not so, while the latter know it's not so, and yet they damn near are. One man would gladly listen to the ideas of others, as long as they were about him. Adage update. Life must have loved itself. It made so many men. How, in the realm of soundbite insight and bubblegum wisdom, life can catch up with literature and popular culture. We are all creatures of the night. If the word night represents not knowing what you're talking about. And now, our inspirational thought for the day. Life doesn't give a damn whether you're smart or dumb. And now the hog prices. They're about the same as yours. A freelance conversation played in attempted spontaneity. Key T. 'Tis difficult to ever escape the system. You mean the political system? No. The economic system? Nope. The social system? No. The system. Man, the only creature who can have fun at both ends and in the middle at the same time. Though not publicly recognized, the ruling Philistine's best friend is the true artist, even though he may not socialize with them. While the house numbers are different from one side of the street to the other, the gods of your enemies tell them that a dead man is a satisfied man. I guess saying think fast wouldn't do a hell of a lot of good, would it? Who said that? How evolution can go sideways while you're on vacation. Insects are superior to some humans because they feel no family responsibility. Civilization, a collective whistling in the dark. Many feel called, but few feel chosen, a poem. Many feel called, but few feel chosen. 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 Terminus erectus. A mystic's wardrobe. A sunny day, a secret smile, sex stains on the sheets. Terminus interruptus. A mystic's proverb. If at first you don't succeed, you picked the wrong thing to try. Terminus explosives. If the basis of your judgment is the herds, then it matters not how individual educated you become. You're still a cow. Conservation. There is but one source of encouragement. From our dictionary of human language usage, doing good. What good men attempt to do for others when they don't know what to do for themselves. One guy told himself, I don't know why you're so concerned over whether life cares if you talk about it or not. Life's a big boy. It can look after itself. All healthy living systems are self-critical and self-correcting. How life can work right in front of your face, if not mentally, right in front of your mind. After favoring them with a few bars, the man asked, is the vocal competition already closed? And was told, nah, it's never too late to cut your throat. If the differences between a true individual and the collective were publicly known and compared, the individual would always be in the wrong. Most men look at life about like this. If something happened to you before you died, then you were alive. Pithiness, where is thy sting? Oh! According to some beliefs, those who want to be mystics are either crazy or else they just can't do anything else. The collective love this story. So do some would-be mystics. Quiz time. Is it possible to be a satisfied member of the collective and yet not be a Philistine? What are you, nuts? If you're more complex than those around you, the best way to keep them from getting hostile is to keep it hidden. Yes, there is no substitute for talent, but that's okay. Life doesn't require that you have any. See, now doesn't that sound better than saying that life didn't mean for you to have any. How one man handles his connection to the collective's mind. He will only call someone if he can hang up the phone as soon as they answer. Looking down at the herd from the hill where he stood, one man said, "You call that intelligence?" And the voice of life suddenly responded, "Who said that?" And the man went, "Oops." Thinking the same thing over and over and over again is like making the mind wear the same underwear day after day after day. Being more conscious is like wearing none. History recircumcised. There is no record yet of anyone who knows anything about life attempting to save man from life. According to one legend, eons and aeons ago, one secret band of mystics changed their name from the Secret Band of Mystics to Those Who Know. And then changed that one to the Ones Who Suspect. Only to change it to the More Alert, and later switch that one to Those Open to Suggestions. And finally just listed themselves in the book under unlisted numbers. To help clarify, a mystic redefined again. A bus driver with a weird route. You know, you can describe a mystic any way you want to, and still, he'll be what he is. Trying to explain life to ordinary minds takes more time and less ability than one who knows has. Editorializing through mimicry. Mimicry? There were several in here about closed systems and how even at the first one I didn't pull out said that in closed systems the extreme ends, while going under different names, will yet resemble one another. And the differences of the individual and collectively, blah, blah, blah. You remember that one? And the only creature who can have fun at both, you remember that one? And the most civilized condemn. And also having to do with public entertainment. Someone mentioned, it's apropos to our time and place, some of the ideas that has popped up in, they said science fiction, and I know it's popped up even in less apparent fictionalized areas regarding science. It's sort of an offshoot. It's in the same ballpark, I guess, with the attempt to create artificial intelligence via computers. And it had to do with the idea of a man eventually beginning to merge with technology. And the person pointed out that somewhat amazing, well, it's absolutely amazing if you think about it, that physically what man has done with technology, with his mind, on the physical level, all the way from the beginnings, the purposes of technology was to take away or to relieve himself of some of the physical effort of making a living, making machines. Backhoe diggers, front hole loaders, and all that. And now it's gone even to the point that we can have a blowout in our heart, and they can put in a plastic one. And you can live. That you can lose a hand, and now they have things that the hand will actually move, and feet that you can tie up to the muscles with electronic gadgetry and chips, and you can send down muscle things to make your legs sort of move. So all that seems astounding. And so in a sense, we now have people walking around who are in part technology. But the thrust of this kind of idea of man merging with technology, what I want you to see is it's simply a form of the continuing belief by educated, sophisticated, highly respected people, the forefront of human progress at the city level, working on artificial intelligence, and we've touched on this before, and even now their fear of creating computers, artificial intelligence, that will become smarter than man, that will get out of hand, take over. And another aspect of that is, in some way, if that didn't happen, or in conjunction with that, is the idea of man sort of merging. That a man, say, creating some artificial intelligence, he gets close to it, and maybe he begins to merge with it. And I guess that sounds to some people like even a greater modern version of a Frankenstein monster that would be the parts of humans, which they always insinuate would be the baser parts. They can never explain, well, why is it always baser people create a Frankenstein, and yet to start the story off, they got to be superior in intelligence, at least in some areas, to do it. I don't want to think about that. Who said that? Whoops. Moo. But it would seem to be, perhaps, that this could even be a more fraught with danger rather than just creating artificial intelligence that could get out of hand and get the best of their master, to even merging with the kind of technology to where you had a bastard, where you had that which was neither fish nor fowl. Write that down. That it's partly man, and then it's partly this artificial, if not intelligence, at least it's partly technology. All right, all of that, didn't mean to overkill it, I just wanted to bring everybody up. All of that sounds fairly contemporary. Probably from an ordinary view it could be made to sound, if it didn't already strike ordinary ears that way, to sound somewhat futuristic. And yet within a closed system, which you can, those of you of kindergarten mind can take that as being a reference to this universe physically. Those of you that perhaps can think a bit individually understand that that's of no great consequence right now, because a closed system is your head, is your thinking. Within a closed system, there's always that which seems to be extremes, because within the closed system that we call the human mind, the only way that it operates is on the basis of that kind of bifurcation of being able to think this or that, being able to count one or two to make a distinction. And so within any even closed system, there has to be extremes. There has to be an entry, an outry. There has to be one end of the universe as opposed to some other end. And if you want to look at it as being the universe, you can. Or if you look at it on the basis of the intellectual universe, there are extremes constantly. Truth and error. Fact, fiction. That's as far removed as they can get, and yet they have an unrecognized similarity. Most likely, if we addressed men working on in areas of artificial intelligence, in trying to take technology itself all the way from the computer area to whatever they would lump into technology that might not fit into that, I'll accept it, doesn't matter. Very likely they would have claimed to be the least or very little interest in such a group of historical religion. Just the way it goes. That they would say that work on technology, work on artificial intelligence would be about as far removed as if that was their main interest in life, not just their job, that is their interest, that is their entertainment, they feel that to be their calling. If someone said, do you realize that that's about the same thing as being religious? I don't mean in some theoretical sense. That's the same thing as worrying about God. They would go, I assume they'd say something like, poo-poo, nay, nay. That they would say that that is very far removed, and they, as a group, I'm sure, would profess to personally be very non-religious. Within a closed system, the trick in the news item about that, even though the extremes within a closed system may go by different names, there is yet a similarity. See, that's a trick. That doesn't seem to be a similarity. What, are you crazy? You lost your hearing? Your brain has dropped below room temperature? All of this is based upon, may I remind you, if it helped anyone, play the game of pretending that all of this, or you're trying to think, I don't mean me, but you're trying to consider and follow some of the things that you're hearing pointed out from a sort of an extraterrestrial's view. That if it was somebody here, not a critic, we're not worrying about whether they're superior or better, you know, got faster ray guns and better condoms. They just show up, there's this guy, and he can speak the language and he can instantly avail himself of the general history of humanity. He's as intelligent about the history of man and what's going on with current events and etc. as your average walking around person. And he is not acting as a critic, but he looks upon man now, and he looks upon what man says to be the purposes of life in all sorts of local situations, individual situations, even to the broader range of humanity as a whole. He looks at what man says to be the rules of his game, what he's intending to do, the goals he has in mind, and then he looks at what man's doing. And he just makes observations. The ordinary mind, of course, would take him as being critical and sarcastic and etc. And you can do that because it does not cost any more at all. Thank God. Thank God that some things are left sacrosanct in this growing age of tyranny and dictatorship by the government, that they still cannot stop us from being smarter. Oh, I'm sorry. So if you would take that view. Not the last one, no. It would seem to be within the closed system of humanity. It's got to be somewhere at the real forefront of intellectual activity, of science, of technology, is the whole concept of producing machines. In the broadest sense of the term, they're actually talking about, of course, programming, but machines that can become intelligent. The whole field of AI, you're supposed to be hip enough now to see the big letters AI in an article or somewhere, and you know, hey, artificial intelligence, I know what's happening. They're working on it feverishly. There are all kinds of grants using tax money, guys with Nobel Prizes working on it. Already to the point of having some backlash, which shows you that it is viable and healthy, that it's already serious ethical questions regarding you people don't know what you're fooling with. That's one thing for some of your lesser colleagues to be over there fooling around in the animal husbandry hospital and over there trying to clone genes and heifers and even over with vegetables. Now that's dangerous enough. I'll leave that to somebody else. But I'm telling you, this is getting into a higher level of danger and questionable ethics. What if you guys do come up with machines that can think? Just think about the stories, genies, and all these imps in Pandora's box. What if you get a machine and it begins to think a little bit, resembles a little bit, and they go, yeah, because they're already to that point, most of them think, and you keep improving it. Worse yet, you guys are smart enough, I bet you're going to program it that it'll help teach itself. It'll try to think like humans and it'll make a mistake, but it'll then straighten itself out. It will begin to teach itself. They go, yeah, we're working on it. And he says, think about the ethical ramifications eventually, if not the absolute danger. These machines, suddenly they get as smart as you. Yeah, because they see Nobel Prize. Just flashing. And then they go, yeah, but if it gets that smart, what's going to stop it? What's going to be the end of it? It'll get smarter than you. And then they try to dismiss it, of course, but not that either one of the groups are right or wrong, but understand that is taken to be a serious question. I know you've heard some of this already in that one area, but it expands, and I've never pointed out how it works within the closed system of man's consciousness, of his ordinary mind. If we were playing the E.T., and you were looking at this observer would have to, or he would want to point to someone, how is it, again, remember this E.T. guy, this extraterrestrial, this expanded thinker, he asked humanity, he asked some guy, he says, well, how is it now? I hear what you're saying about the AI. And I understand what you people call creativity and a man inventing something, producing something. I understand that. But based upon you guys' own rules, your own models of reality, but your own rules of reality, how is it that you get to the point, based upon everything that's gone before, the whole basis of your closed thinking, the closed system of your rationale, that you believe that a creator can create something that will become superior to the creator. That was probably linguistically vague enough that some of them would weasel out. Well, I know they'd weasel out. I was trying to give you sort of a break, like if you didn't see it immediately, think, well, yeah, that's not all that easy to see. Well, yeah. I'll grant you this. If you have trouble seeing that, then you're right, isn't it? Pardon my obstruseness. So we're not just picking on that area again. But now you understand, or can you carry that over into the field of the speculation of combining man with technology. Now he's already been combined with technology physically. That is, artificial hearts, limbs, the actual machinery, not just of adding to him, but that which is relieved him of putting robots in, assembly line work, not just assisting him. They start out letting it assist him. Then they suddenly realize after a few weeks of being the greed and profit of ordinary life, they've got men over there mashing buttons, and they've got now these super arms and things that are picking up all the equipment, putting cars together that men used to take 10 men to do, and now they only need one guy to stand there and watch the machine. And then they realize, well, shit, we don't even need him. So everybody's gone now except all these big arms and one guy just to come in, throw the switch every morning, and to make sure that the place doesn't burn down. That is as far as it's going to go. Or they can go further, but you understand physically, man's already combined with technology, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be filming this. It is marvelous. It is marvelous. And maybe it will not only build your car, but it may save your life someday. It may keep you alive by them sticking a plastic colon in you. Or were you short people, maybe a semicolon. But where is the fairness doctrine in cable TV? That is, who will stand up and say a word for decency of language? Not I. As always, anything the human mind can think about is already partly true. And so the idea that man in some way may eventually get merged with technology and become a superman, or from the other view, that it may unleash certain demons that it will, instead of him becoming a superman, one of the good fictional ideas or one of the ethical questions by now could be, well, wait a minute, what if man does in some way be able to merge himself with technology and becomes not a superman, but like a super demon? Instead of it being able to supplement his better parts, what if it simply makes his baser parts stronger? The physical side, man has already merged. I don't mean it's the end of it. They can keep changing. But you understand in the same way that man, at least in your lifetime, anything of any interest to you, man is as far gone, as far developed as he's going to be physically. We don't even have to go much any further. What's the point in it? You don't need to be any stronger. If you are, it's because of imagined reasons beyond the physical, such as getting beautiful and good looking to pick up women because of sexual reasons. So man does not have to get any stronger. That's a waste of time. All you got to do is buy a piece of machinery. If we don't have one strong enough now, I don't know what else. We got a piece of machinery that can level a mountain, in 2 or 3 hours. So that's not the question. But notice, there's always a reality, anything man can think, and ordinary minds would use this very, hold it, this is a long sentence, I know. Tell me something new. That they take this very reality of the fact that man has merged physical with technology, and that would seem to support, without them being able to analyze it, without them wanting to analyze it, the further supposition that he will some way merge above the physical. That is, they would probably want to call it spiritual, but intellectual. That just why I was saying that he may merge, and it offers distinct possible problems. I've tried to be nice about this before in addressing the idea of artificial intelligence, and how this is a variation of it, and I'm going to have to bring out the same kind of technical armament that I did before and just simply point out bullshit. Have you lost your minds? Or as my little ET guy would go, bullshit, have you lost your minds? Well, he stole that from me. While we're taking a small break, I guess it won't hurt for you to consider one more time that this has just, this ain't worth anyone's consideration that this is in any way a commentary on the computer sciences, on technology, on man, the herd animal. If all you want is a smart-ass view of life, I guess you could pick up a few new ideas. It's personal, and it has to do with the way your mind operates. There's no reason that you hear it here. It is not possible for a creator to create anything superior to himself. Now, that surely sounds as though it's something that came out of a book of great quotations or else a fortune cookie. I mean, it sounds like somebody's got to have said that before. I mean, it's just got the ring to it. It just sounds moldy enough. It just sounds proverbial enough. But it is a fact, and you can take it to a much harder, more direct view, and me point this out, or you hear it. Me pointing out won't do any good because you can point out to people and they still won't hear it. It's whether you can hear it. The human mind, and plug in a unstated synonym for the human mind, unstated, cannot create something that's smarter than itself. If we had my ET guy here, if he was in your head and you had some, God knows why, passing moment of objective lucidity, you'd think, Jesus, where have I been? It is simply not possible. The mind of anyone cannot invent something, and we're not talking about physical, because that's already been proven. You can make a machine stronger than you are. Your arm didn't make it. Your arm's the one that got tired. Your back's the one who wanted a hoe, a plow, a caterpillar. But it couldn't do it. If we were dependent upon our muscles, going, boy, am I tired. You know, we're humans and our muscles, we've been plowing now and getting out there and carrying water for, God, what's it been now? And the guy goes, well, about 8,000 years now. You think, geez, it looks like we'd come up with some better way. But if you're waiting on muscles, forget it. The mind did it. But it did it for the muscles, for the body. So, which is, if you need any further proof, God, that's frightening to think about, but to show that the mind is superior to the body with most people. With most people. The mind has invented, it has conjured up that which is superior to parts of itself. That is the body. It can make machines, it can sit there and dream them, without even pencil and paper. And if we had a good Mozart of technology, he can sit there in his head and suddenly dream up exactly the blueprints and the design and engineering of how to come up with a machine that would do, that is stronger and can pick up more than he can. The mind can do that. Again, that's one of the things that there is irrefutable proof of that, evidence of that. And then to say, well, the mind is just, we're going from that to us fooling around with artificial intelligence and all that, and it's going to get out of hand. We're not going to have machines stronger than us. We're going to have machines more intelligent than we are. Yeah. And some people shudder. The mind cannot invent something smarter than itself. It can invent something stronger than its arm. It can invent something faster than its legs. It can invent something and design something taller than it is, wider than it is, that will last longer than it does physically. But it cannot in any way, no matter what mind it is, make up, invent, design anything that is smarter than the mind was. Why does sometime in here it sounds like a Southern Baptist preacher? Mere dramatics at no additional charge. Within the closed system that is the human mind, you would think, or they would profess, that is as far removed from old ideas of organized religion and gods, in the full sense of gods, of something outside us, something that is looking down on us, something that created us, something that is omnipotent. All right, let's put it simple, something superior to us. The idea of artificial intelligence is the same, pardon the term, goddamn thing as the idea of God. It is the mind having the idea, and it is unquestioned at what appears to be extreme ends of this polarized universe of the mind. It is the same thing, the concept of God and the concept of artificial intelligence, or the concept of man merged with technology to the point that he is, now we're talking intellectually or spiritually, he is now Superman. Are you nuts? Yeah, I guess I've overdone that. Are you ordinary?
No.
Have you ever had a real thought in your life? Do you know there are parts of the brain, I know it's a common term, that can actually think in a way that, makes sense? I know, then you got to describe, well, what does make sense mean? Yeah, I know. All right, just between you and me, have you ever been able to think about things and go, and just have more fun than you just knew what to do with? Or some people don't want to say, you thought about something in a certain way and went, well, I'll be damned, I understand it. Which is sort of the fun, is also you understand that nobody else in the whole world understands it. If it's in the field of physics, you also understand that the cream of the crop of the world's physicists, they're not in the ballpark. And you sort of go, oh, that's sort of fun. And plus, for you smartasses watching, you can think, hey, that's enough impetus to make me want to become a mystic. Because you secretly, intellectually become so smart that you're smarter than everybody in the world. Boy, I could laugh at everybody then. It wouldn't be just my imagination. Bring me another beer. Trying to get you to consider something inside of your own head, not having to do with religion, not having to do with science and technology. But there are the examples. If you didn't have the examples, we wouldn't be talking. The idea that man can invent something, artificial intelligence. Let's get past, once and for all, the idea of machinery. He can invent machinery he already has that is superior to him physically. That's not the question. And you got to forget that, because ordinary minds, if you stay at that level, then you keep wanting to drag that though. You go, well, see, there's the proof, and now it's just one further step from that to inventing non-physical, that is, artificial intelligence, computers, programs that will be as smart as we are and then get smarter. They don't have to sleep. We'll program it with everything we know. We'll give them everything we know, so then they're already up to our level. I already told you bullshit. Have you never thought? You can't even bring it up to your level, which is the reason I brought up the idea of merging with technology. I started to point out the obvious that we took the long way around, but that's the only way around. No, it's not, but since I did it, I was going to weasel out of it.
No.
The idea that man might be able to merge with technology is almost a weaseler's attempt to get out of, well, maybe we can invent right now. Maybe we cannot develop artificial intelligence superior to man. But here's the danger, my friend, says Life, local people. The danger is we'll get it up to our level, to where we're sort of equals. We sort of merge with it, and we become dependent. Well, let's just put it this way. I'm speaking from ordinary minds now. Let's just put it this way. It's very, very likely, we're very close to that right now, that we can come up with intelligence, that is artificial intelligence, that's more or less our equal. That there are businesses right now, businesses engaged in information that could not survive. They would not last overnight. Thousands, millions of people would be out of work if the machinery, the computers, went down. If they crashed completely overnight, that business, and they start naming some of the world's largest businesses, largest grossing, that say without the machinery, the men, if we got 10,000 employees here with Company X, worldwide company engaged in the information business, they've got 10,000 employees and they've got so much money in equipment. If this equipment, all the equipment just suddenly died permanently, deceased, they're out of business. Forget that they got 10,000 people over here, the brightest minds in the business. You understand that? Their point would be, we have now technology, we have artificial intelligence of a sort that is our equal, it is our partner. And they could prove it by the example I just conjured up. That if they went on strike, if the machinery just disappeared, the people are out of business. No matter how good they are, they could be the best in the business mentally. But without this machinery, they're gone. It's a partnership. They don't call it that. They don't say IBM people and sons and machinery. They don't give them credit. They don't have to pay them. They don't have to give them a pension and all that. But by God, it's already to the point that they're our equal. Sure bit.
Yeah.
See, that's the weasel's way out. They didn't know they were looking for a way out, but that would be the stopgap if humanity's minds were met with the obvious. If they had to suddenly realize, wait a minute, we're not ever going to make machines smarter than we are. We should say programming, but we're not ever going to create intelligence smarter than we are. What are we, idiots? It would be a rhetorical question. Again, giving some humans for a moment the benefit of some moment of lucidity, inexplicable as it may be. If they did see, well, wait a minute, we'll never, I mean, it's not even foreseeable that we're ever going to produce any sort of intelligence, any sort of mechanical intelligence of any sort that's superior to us, but there is no doubt we have already reached the point that it is, operationally speaking, our equal. And they can prove it by the example I just made up. They can have it free. They hadn't already thought about it, that there it is. This is not a flaw in man. It is like people at the end of the evolutionary parade, it's like these invisible forces with sticks with little pins on them, poking everybody. And it is not far removed from the idea of God. How far did you say it was removed before when you started?
No.
I insinuated that it wasn't removed at all.
No.
Oh, verbally. Oh, yes, verbally. And it does appear to be extreme ends of a different universe. But now consider, and back to trying to zero it in up here, the idea of God, the idea of artificial intelligence, and in the middle you might say the idea of merging with technology and becoming more than just man, it is all the same thing. It is the mind's dream of, it is the mind's conception of something outside the person, outside of man, that is superior. I suggest, hint, the individual profit to you realizing this is to understand how much time and energy your mind, I hate to say it, waste if you're trying to do something else, over ordinary concerns. The concerns of the collective, as one said tonight, and the collective is not a pejorative term, the concerns of ordinary people are only their concerns. That's why life made them. Somebody got to have ordinary concerns, no matter what it is. That maybe we're offending God, okay. There are people starving, and you're eating good, you're overweight, okay. Some people have more money than others, all right, okay, I got that. We die, we get sick, and then we die, and I don't know, I didn't have as much fun as I wanted, okay. The mind has a continuing perception, if it is healthy, if it is ordinary, that there is something superior external to it. The ordinary always have, and many still do, parts of you, they call it God. Now, many who would disclaim any belief in a God are furiously working at night, partly in their spare time, at the bastions of Western and Eastern and Northern and Southern, without leaving one out, and feminine and masculine universities, think tanks, clinics, working now on developing a forms of artificial intelligence to rival and then hopefully surpass man. And many of them do now say, hopefully surpass. In face of some of them, others even saying, wait a minute, they're ethical questions. They go, no, you people missed it. You would be critics, because what we are trying to do is develop intelligence, which some of the theories popped up, to take a sidestep, even during the recent, I know it's a shame we lost it, but the era known as the Cold War, you know, when two of the world's major political powers, the right bicep and the left bicep, had all these rockets faced at each other, our fingers, And they began to, the fail-safe, the mutual destruction theories, but then even to have machines so that men, just poor men, just the poor presidents and prime ministers, which shows you what they think of our great leaders, it kind of slips in, is to work up computer programs that at least they would have the sense that if a scenario like the Dr. Strangelove movie, some accidental rocket sent over to Moscow or toward Peoria, that the machinery of the other side, the computers would take in all the numbers of rockets headed this way, the time of day, what's been going on politically over there, and just a matter of seconds could come up and say, well, this got to be an accident. Don't retaliate yet. They considered that was not only beyond the question of ethics involved with artificial intelligence, non-human intelligence running affairs, they're pointing out it could be superior, that you people are wasting your time because, look, we are still, us today civilized, circa 1994, are still killing one another over religion, over all kinds of petty crap. Now, if we had our countries instead of our leaders, instead of humans running it, well, I guess we'd still need princes and stuff, to cut ribbons and to count the money and our taxes. But if we had machines, if we had artificial intelligence running things in a reasonable, more enlightened manner, we wouldn't be out there fighting over who's the best Catholic or who's the best Jew or what kind of clothes you wear. We'd be better off. That sounds all right. I wasn't making fun of it. I could make it sound better than they do. That, wait a minute, we would be better off. We shouldn't be worried about machines and intelligence, artificial intelligence becoming more intelligent. We should be thankful if we can do it. I mean, look at the mess we made as humans. A good program that we drew up the right way, it wouldn't pollute our streams like that. It wouldn't kill another machine because of its religion, and we'd be better off. Are you religious? Well, certainly not. It's the same thing. All of it is the same thing. And if you have any interest in any of it, and I say interest, you can have interest, let me put it back to any concern. If you've thought about it more than once, the questions involved, change your underwear. Jesus, give yourself a break. You smell. There's nothing else to think about. It is all based upon God. They keep changing the name, but you're never going to beat it. That explained it originally. They finally wore it out. It's the belief that there is something outside the individual mind and the collective mind. Something outside of man that is superior. And God met every qualification, you just couldn't see him. And it got kind of shaky when the more crude believed he lived up on a mountain. And then the Greeks, somebody finally climbed up on Olympus and went, shit, there ain't nothing up here. And then Moses got found out. So then they said, he lives up in the sky. In the sky, that's it, up in the heavens. And as you know, they started sending up craft that could make photographs and do all kinds of, even from here on Earth, could run through the full spectrum or a large degree of the spectrum of the electromagnetic universe. And it just kind of blew the idea that God is probably living up behind some clouds or up on the moon or maybe Mars. So it kind of got worn out, and so now it is, artificial intelligence. It is the same thing. And here is what I was trying to prod you to see of the real personal value. All they're dreaming of, all the way from God to artificial intelligence, and man merging with technology, they're talking about one thing and one thing only. Man tomorrow. Not physically. When they say that there is something superior to man, they always mean mentally. They can't describe it, and so the crude and the not so crude are always falling back to God is omnipotent. How? Well, he can whip everybody's ass. He could destroy us if he wanted to. That kind of sounds kind of negative attributes. Well, he is smarter than us. But you can't go into that any more than someone now working on artificial intelligence. If you say, well, what will it be like if you do it? Of course, they don't learn anything from that. But seriously, all they can say is, well, he would be, the program, the machinery would be more intelligent than us. Well, describe it to me. Well, why are you nuts? I said be more intelligent. Consider how intelligent you are, and we are as a whole, okay? It'd be more intelligent. You can't say anything. Same thing about God. They can only say, well, he's omnipotent, that is all-powerful. And they can also say, well, he's omninostic. He's all-knowing. Well, what does he know more than us? Well, everything. Well, what? I'm going to give you an example. Well, everything. You can't describe it. That's why the mind creates gods that are elusive. They have to be. There's no other choice. The best they can do is physically describe them. Make statues or describe their power, their wrath, all that they can do to you physically. But you say, well, what can he do to me mentally? Why don't he help me mentally? Or what would he do to me mentally? Well, hey, if he wanted to, hey, go in. Go look at mental hospitals. Hey, there it is. That's what. Yeah, but how could he help me? I mean, describe God mentally. Well, I'd describe what this artificial intelligence will be once it becomes superior to man. Just even a little bit. What will it be like? Will it be smarter than us? Well, I mean, tell me something. Well, I really can't. There it is. Because the mind, a creator cannot create something superior to itself. The mind cannot create anything better than itself. Therefore, it dreams of these black holes. Artificial intelligence, technology merging mentally, and God. But it's dreaming of one thing. The mind is always dreaming of one thing, and that's itself tomorrow. It can save you all sorts of, most of you don't understand the extreme gouging that they charge you for these wolf tickets that run the mental merry-go-round on which most people's minds ride. Yeah. Up, down, real neat little horses and that little German band music and played by mechanical machinery. I'm not pulling out, boom, chink, boom, chink. At no additional charge, you can give yourself a break. And once you find really how to use this, it does give some ammunition, which I'm not going into, about how to move yourself closer to the future, which is what everyone's mind is dreaming of. The rest of them are distracted in a sense because they're operating at the proper speed, the collective speed. The herd gallops at one speed, and they dream of gods and technology. They dream of artificial intelligence. They're dreaming of the mind itself over the horizon. If you can dream about it and you don't get distracted in that, the suggestion has always been from the mystics and the transcendental thinkers and those who've had the experience that, far away ain't that far away. Or then it ends up being translated, hey, he said he got in touch with God. He said he talked to the universe. A closed system doesn't have far to shout. I mean, if there was a God, like your forefathers believed, some old guy that, like Elvis or Howard Hughes in hiding on black velvet, if you were going to get in touch, if that was the mystical experience, actually getting in touch with God, it wouldn't be that big a deal. Like to work your whole life to get in touch with Him. In a closed system, nothing's very far away. Yeah, but the universe, no, we're not talking about the universe, we're talking about your mind. Which I really like is people go, yeah, the mind is its own little infinite universe. Right, yeah. Anybody that tells you that, that shows that they have never traveled far from their own neural home. If each man's mind is its own infinite universe, then they're going to have to redefine the definition of infinite. Because man's mind is about the size of a what? A pickle-headed dwarf. A green pea. No, it's not. Yes, it is. What? Who said that? Hey, come on. I don't have to. A ping pong match played in miniature inside a green pea.